So, moving on to the main feature for this evening.
Blue screen? Oh no.
Which is, of course, Eric Stauss talking about the Junior World Gliding Championships. I'll just read a little bit from here about his biography, his flying career. It says Eric was introduced to soaring as a 7-year. I'm assuming that was a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Right, so from age 7, so that's pretty young. Spending the rest of his childhood running around airfields. Comes from a gliding family. Went solo the weekend after his 15th birthday, so he didn't quite make it on his birthday. I guess his birthday was midweek, wasn't it? Bugger. So that's a while ago. It's a nice day, so he took the glider away for 90 minutes. You flew your first junior nationals age 17. Has an older brother, Colin, who was also flying junior nationals at the time. So obviously there might have been a little sibling rivalry going on there.
Yeah. Could say that.
Anyway, in his first junior nationals, he finished in 7th place, just behind his brother.
Very so slightly.
He got the competition bug out of that, and he's stuck with it since. So he's flown many more junior nationals since then. Flew us first senior nationals in 2012. That was in club class. Flew the Junior World Championship in Holland in 2013. Now that must have been a hell of an experience going over the other side of the world and flying the World Championship.
I still remember sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning watching it go round and round and round. I think this guy's poor mother watching this. You're there for like an hour.
Must have been a positive experience.
I think I got an award for that.
Yeah.
Because he came back and did it again. Which is what it actually says, because he then went on to fly the World Gliding Championships in Finland in 2014 and the Junior Worlds last year, which was in Australia at Narromine. It says at the end of this year, Eric will have matured. That's debatable. But what that really means is that he's no longer a junior anymore because he's only 26 years old. Are you ready, 26? Or?
End of the year. Yeah.
End of this year, right, yes. And the junior, the eligibility for juniors is 25 and under. So he's going to be up flying with the rest of us. And his name like Scully, we're going to have to watch out. There's some really good juniors coming up through the ranks, which is really fantastic to see. He, apart from that aspect, he also enjoys other aspects to gliding, like being a committee member of the gliding club, SAGA representative, junior rep to the International Teams Committee, which is the committee that actually selects pilots for World Championships, and the junior representative to the JWGC board. And he's the president of the Australian Junior Gliding Club. It's got just under 900 hours, which is a lot of hours in not very many years, and it's just starting. So I'll hand over to Eric.
Yep.
Tell me all about the Junior World Championship.
So I'm Eric. I think Peter said a lot just now about me. So in December last year, I flew in the Junior Worlds in Narromine in club class. So what I want to do now is not just give a full play-by-play of the competition, but I want to just give a snapshot of the whole journey to that comp and a bit about the comp and some of what Peter's just said. That's my history and journey to the competition. So just hope that they can show a bit more depth to the commitment to world comps, and Peter's done it a fair few times, and it's a lot of work, a lot of commitment too. So in mid 2012, Narromine won the bid to host the Junior World Championships in 2015, last year. And to that point, I'd flown 4 junior nationals, and 2015, last year, was my last opportunity to fly a Junior Worlds, and that really set it in my mind that, yep, I was going to fly that competition, that was my goal. And the next 3.5 years, that's what I was doing. I was preparing for the Junior Worlds. I had to get selected, but I was going to fly the competition, and I did. Yeah, so this is in Lake Keepit, end of 2012. I think that's one of the last days, but that was fantastic pre-start wave. That's Joey Glide. That was my first junior nationals where I started getting on the podium. I think maybe once or twice, maybe. But I was starting to step up my competitions. And then I was invited to the squad week in February 2013. That was my first introduction to Narromine, and for the next couple of years I'd keep going back and back, but Narromine is just fantastic. You get some big weather out of there on the right days. Blue like this one, and some fantastic Q days. And it has everything too. You've got mountains, Warrumbungles and other features everywhere, and flatland, easy country as well. And then you can go a bit further and then you can't land anywhere. It's a great spot. I flew with Tom Claffey for a coaching flight. He was flying his 28. I was in a dry mini Nimbus, and that was a 12,000 foot Narromine Q day, and he just said, "No, sorry, I just can't stay with you," and just rocketed it off and had a ball. But that was a fantastic experience. And then shortly after that, after a few late withdrawals, I managed to just snag a spot to go to the Junior Worlds in Poland. So this was my first time flying overseas, my first world comps. I flew in standard class in that competition. I thought I might work my way into standard class. First time really flying with water ballast, and that was a very big deep end experience, but it was fantastic. So yeah, first world competition. I think Mandy and Peter produced a document, that Pilot's Handbook. Yep. And who were flying the world comps, and that was incredible. That helped quite a bit. Poland is just it's Europe. Paddocks are tiny. The weather is shocking. It's just terrible. I think this rough statistic is Europe, you get about 50% flying days to not flying. So yeah, a lot of days. When they don't fly though, the day is dead. When they do fly, the days would be dead here. We wouldn't fly, but they're set tasks, and everyone falls in paddocks at the end of the day. Yeah, because I suppose if they don't fly on those days, then they don't fly at all. So that was Poland. Then I came back. In the Legionary in Poland. It's Andrew. He came along for that ride as well, which was very nice of him. Helped a lot. That was that
Very artistic.
some professional guy with a big lens, and yeah, and he's pretty good. He's got a whole album. It's a very good look. Yeah.
Did you use the bug wipers?
Every day. Yeah, every flight at least 3 times. Yeah, you have to, because it really affects the performance that much. Yeah, first time flying with bug wipers over there, and manual ones as well. So you have to try the thermal, and it's more efficient while you're in the thermal because you're not wasting the extra energy, and yeah, one at a time. Yeah,
Very distracting.
It's horrible.
Maybe explain what bug wipers are. Some of these guys may have never seen a bug wiper
Okay.
before, so just explain how they work.
So there's a bit of string that's attached into there, and it goes into the cockpit on the side somewhere. It's basically 2 fishing reels, one for each wing, and you there's a bit of a spring in there that opens the wiping blade, and there's a piece of fishing line that gets pulled tight onto the edge of the wing, and yeah, when you see the amount of bugs that's on the front of your car when you've been driving through a swarm of bugs. So the whole wing gets caked in bugs, and you release that fishing reel type thing, and it slides out the wing, and you have to wind it up, and you have to do the other side. So yeah, so the bugs really spoil the performance of the wing, and in the ASW28 it is pretty bad.
I found what really spoils the performance, it goes out to the tip, because aerodynamically goes out to the tip, and then you wind it back in again. And when it jams halfway back in,
Yes.
and you have this damn bug wiper stuck halfway out on your wing.
And then it starts oscillating, and there's all sorts of stories, but that's why they say you should always have a manual set of bug wipers, because then you have a pair of pliers in the pocket. So when it falls off and does something weird, you just say, "Click, see you later," and then you've lost a few €100 for the 5-class bug wiper. Yeah. So then back to Australia, on a bit of a high, back onto the junior national comp scene. This was at Narromine again. So the idea was, now that the juniors was announced to be in Narromine, we'd hold the junior nationals there for the next 2 times, to get all the juniors up to speed with Narromine and give us a real home ground advantage, and that showed with Matthew, I think. Yeah, so in this competition I borrowed a ASW28 from the Claffies, and I did beat Matt twice, which was good. It was very good. Happy to say I did that. And I ended up coming second, technically third behind the Kiwi. But yeah, I was starting to wind up my competitions and started to get more on the pace. And then I thought, well, competitions are pretty cool. I should really start doing a bit more, and then I flew in the senior nationals in Waikerie in January the next year. And now that's in a Cirrus. So I got off the standard class train and thought, well, no, I really do fly club class gliders all the time, regularly fly the Mini Nimbus at Balaclava, and club class is without water ballast, so club class is what I should really be flying. That's where I have most of my hours, and that's where I should be more competitive. And flying club class in Waikerie was great. I ended up 5th, and Toby Geiger was sort of mentoring me through that being my first competition, well, first senior competition. And he was a great help too. He's one of our best club class pilots, and yeah, ended up coming 5th. Oh, this is just a good sequence. And then I think the teams committee took a little more notice of me, and I went back to a squad week in March of that year. I think my brother was on the teams committee too, so that sort of helped. But I got selected to fly in Finland, where Andrew also came and crewed for me in that uniform. So then, yeah, so back at Narromine for a squad week. We set this squad week a little deeper into the colder months, and you can see it's nice and green just to get a bit more of a European feel, but we still had 5,000 foot days, and so that was more of a cream of European style flying. But no, it was still very good. I was flying a Cirrus there with Adam Woolley and another Cirrus, and that was my first taste of really team flying together, and both in the same glider. And I think there was only really one task we had together that we really got a full benefit of team flying. It's hard work to you have to fly together to maximise your collective performance. So if one pilot just leeches off the other and does better than he could have, but leaves the other behind, it's still not quite team flying. You have to fly together so you're collectively better than you would be otherwise. But that can also mean that you can sacrifice yourself for the other. And yeah, but team flying is a lot of fun. It's always good to have someone with you when you have that awesome view or massive eagle and something to share the bar story. So then moving to Finland. Again, flying in Europe. This is where Ingo and George Lee won in '76, the Worlds at Race Scala.
So it is Race Scala, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you want to make sure you got the right come in, don't you?
Yes. We walked this little area if we're coming in from the south, but that's your no options for about 15 to 20 k's that way, 10k that way. There's a little town and options start opening up. One guy finished across the lake, touched the finish circle, flew back to the paddock. But yeah, Finland is just unreal. It's not all bad like this. We generally tasked in a sweeping motion in those areas that are landable. But yeah, Finland was a fantastic experience as well. It was again another throw it out in the deep end type. The seniors at Worlds are just cutthroat pilots. They will not let you into a thermal. They just precise, and they won't give you an inch. More so than the juniors. I find the juniors are still more gentlemanly. We're just easygoing and not quite in it for sheep stations. But yeah, I think world comps as well. There's that many more pilots in the air at the same time. We had club class, standard class, and 20 metre, all flying at once. And being in a little dry LS4, crossing with standard class gaggles while you're in a club class gaggle of 15 and standard class gaggle of 15 converging into areas is just not fun, especially when it's cloudy, hazy, raining. It's
And that's the good days.
yeah, exactly. I think Finland, it showered every day, I'd say. When the queues popped, they just open up, tower, shower, kill the area around them for a little bit, and then open up and yeah. I've got a few slides from Finland. Yeah, you can see most of that. Showers, queue, dead air.
So what's a typical club days?
Typical, I think we had the last 2 or 3 days started to get into decent weather, 5,000 feet. The others were lower. Oh, not to mention it was bloody cold all the time. Best temp we saw was 25. So this is Andrew and I carrying the glider out of the paddock. Wet, muddy, high grass. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And they say that the, was it the birch? Birch or something? They reckon it actually works. And I think it does.
That thing was extraordinary.
Depending on temperature, humidity, all sorts of weird stuff. The fins are a bit weird. Yeah, but that was a particularly bad day. Oh, good for the bar.
Yeah, it never goes up to 1,000.
No. It did at one stage hover around here for I don't know, probably that 25-degree day, but yeah. So back into the country after Finland in 2014. So this is now September. And this was a juniors week with G Dale. They'd invited all the Queensland juniors and they hopped in, like Peter was saying before. But he's a fantastic coach and teacher, and his presentations are great. I'm really keen to read that book. I flew with him in the duo and he pointed out, I think there were two key things that I really needed to work on, and from that was some more experience to sharpen my skills in my comp flying, and to really start working on selection for the juniors. This is the junior nationals. After this was the first selection year for the Worlds. No, that's wrong. This would be the last selection year. Yeah, so that'd be the 60%. So I got my 40% selection from the previous junior nationals, where I came second.
There's probably people here that don't know how the selection for the World Championships works. So it's based on the performance at national championships. And the 40 and 60% that Eric's talking about there is that it's performance over 2 years.
Yep.
So you can't just do it really well in 1 year. So it's 40% of generally 3 years before the composite, and then 2 years. Anyway, the first year of selection, which is a few years before the comp, is what we call 40% year. So it's 40% of the score for that year, and then the following year is the final selection year, 60% of the score from that. And then 2 of those, and that's compared against the other pilots. So it's not subjective, it's a formula for selection based purely on performance at the nationals.
Yep. Yeah, so I really had to start sharpening my competition flying, and think that was probably the year we missed out on getting G down here. But anyway, I went up there with G. He also flew in Finland, so I'd met him there too, and gleaned a little off him, but he was holding his cards close because I was a competitor, and yeah. So that was Kingaroy. Then we had this was JWGC in December 2014, so that's the pre-worlds. So all the international pilots were invited. They do that for every World Championships. There's a pre-worlds and then the World Championships, so it's gives the international pilots a bit of a taste for what they can expect the next year, and so they're not so much in the dark about where they're flying. So I cemented my selection, which was very good, but unfortunately I just behind because I outlanded on day one and couldn't quite claw back, but I think that's still pretty good. So, I think I ended up on the first day, finished with a few hundred points, and to claw back to 13, I thought that was pretty good. And Joe O'Donnell won that one, and he was later to be my teammate. So it's just some nice Narromine conditions, a bit of storm and a bit of a squall, but that was after a fantastic day soaring in Narromine. So then the team got selected, yeah. It's a low-res photo. So this is the team that was selected after JWGC. Mandy, our team captain. Me, Joe O'Donnell, James Nugent, we flew club class.
James is on South Australia.
Sorry?
James is on South Australia, isn't he? Almost?
Mildura.
Almost.
Close. Close. Yeah, Joe from Queensland, Matthew Scudder from Gola, now not. John Buchanan from Queensland, he was a pretty good head coach. Dylan Lampard and Elsa McMillan also flying in standard class with Matthew. That's the team. So now we've got one year of preparation together. That's a pretty short time to get a team together. This is the club class team and our fathers as head crew, which is pretty good. So for the next year we had to work together as a team to prepare for the Worlds. In club class we had to pick a glider that we'd all fly, so we could team fly together. And in club class there's the handicapping system, and based on the glider performance, etc., and which glider you choose is interesting. We chose the LS3. Whether it was a good choice or not, yeah, it doesn't matter, but I think
weather dependent as well, isn't it?
Yes.
As to which glider you should fly.
But then at the same time, I don't think so anymore. In the strong weather we had at Narromine, I think the Cirruses did just as well for their handicap as we did. I don't think we could squeeze. I suppose with those Cirrus pilots were quite good, but yeah, I don't know. So we chose the LS3s. We'd all flown flat gliders a lot. Joe and his father own an LS3, so it was an easy choice for him. James flies an LS3 in Mildura. which I eventually flew a bit of a swap because of the weight. So I'm a bit bigger, he's a bit smaller, and so he flew Terry Cubley's LS3. But we'd all flown LS3, oh not LS3s, but that 15 metre flat glider quite a bit. So it came as a fairly good choice for us. That's me in the Mildura LS3. We flew our first squad week the following February together to really work on the base of team flying together, because everyone's different and everyone team fly or can team fly differently, and it's difficult to work together as a team. Can be difficult. So we used one of the Narromine duodiscuses to fly with each other as well in the same glider, to get a feel for how each other flies, where different pilots' weaknesses could be, how to help different pilots, how to fly together, how to fly as a team, and then split into our own gliders to fly as a team, in a single-seater glider. And being at Narromine in February, we thought we'd get a bit more of the nicer weather, just to practice in better conditions, which we would experience in the following December, which we did, and I think we did set a bit of a good standard to working together. Previous to this squad week, I'd never really flown outside of the normal Narromine area. Beryl Hartley from Narromine, she does all the task setting for everyone, always. And there's a bit of a flatland triangle area that always fly in, and that's really the only area I'd flown in prior to this squad week. But because we were just trying to take in all of the home ground advantage, we flew a bit further abroad. I think this is coming back from the north into Narromine, and this runs along a nice big bit of scrub. That is the Macquarie Marshes and Macquarie River system, and there's some would be for tens of, maybe hundreds of kilometres, just unlandable scrub, which is very nice. And we flew in the southeastern area of Narromine towards Orange. It starts to come up to the long mountains, and is also unlandable and tricky and very interesting to fly. Kingaroy again for another squad week, and this was just the last, more of a dress rehearsal for the Worlds. We had to make sure that we were flying well as a team. We just had to start doing everything right, and towards the end we were getting the hang of it more.
So my recollection of that week is all those thunderstorms. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad.
That was, though I thought the thunderstorms were quite good, because when Narromine's hot and humid, like the few slides before, Narromine has some nice thunderstorms.
So we're on the ground looking at the thunderstorms on the radar, trying to get directions to come back. And you should come back to the west, or you should come back to the east, or if we've got any rain, stay away. So it was good practice, I guess, but there were a lot of storms out there that week.
And finishing with a low blue day, which was then again also great teamwork, great flying experience for building as a team. So that was in October. So the World started from the 1st of December. So October, November, December. It's not far away. So after that, I went into checklists and fully preparing myself. Needed to make sure the glider was all set up right. I had to tune my glider, tune my CFG. This is a brass tail wheel that I machined up to shift the centre of gravity a bit further aft, which Frank will talk about. But yeah, I needed to make sure my glider was right, and it wasn't a lot of time. You can buy them from Europe. They're bloody expensive. I thought I'd just make my own, which worked very well. Then from end of October, I was off travelling, start warming up into my competition mode. I flew Speed Week, which was a coaching week organised by Paul Mander in West Wyalong. That's sort of the lower southwestern area of Narromine. I think from one of the World's days we did fly down that way, but it's very similar to Narromine. So that was at the start of November, and then that was just by myself and with my parents' crew, and we were working out our routines and system for working together as a crew pilot team. From there we went to the Australian Nationals in Lake Keepit, and James had exams for year 11, so he wasn't able to make it, but Joe and I started to warm up on our team flying again and really get that the cohesive flying happening, and toward the end of that week that was really good, and I was cheating with Joe, but we won. So that was pretty good, because team flying is not allowed in the nationals, but because we're juniors we got special allowances to practice, though we weren't technically scored. Yeah, and then this is just Joe and I flying together at Lake Keepit, and then it was back down to Narromine for just the final overhaul polish. I did a little bit of damage to the belly at Lake Keepit, and then my wheel popped when I landed and scraped it on the bitumen, but just a bit of a paint job and polished up, and went through all the scrutineering, which Andrew was involved in, and did all that. And we had to set up our we had Aussie base and a hangar, which is a huge home ground advantage. There's none of the other teams had that sort of setup. Everyone was tied down out in the open, storms. Oh no, we have to de-rig our gliders. We're fine, we're in a hangar. But to have facilities at a Worlds is an incredible advantage. You can sleep, and that was all provided by Shinzo at Saw Narromine, and that was very generous of him. We had his little shitty office, but it worked. We had a few air conditioners. Other teams had little tents set up somewhere on the grass, which didn't even survive. And we had he's got a big radio antenna, and Mandy could hear us from all around the tasks everywhere. It was great to have our weatherman on the end of the radio, just to give us satellite updates. So having a proper radio with a base station is a big help at World Championships when you're trying to squeeze out everything out of a day. And so part of that, we're starting to get into a bit of a routine. We had Alex Wallace as our weatherman, and he was using a bit of fancy software that Matt Scudder developed, and that was fantastic too. Unlike some of the other weather stuff that gave you updates for every half hour or a half hourly forecast, and just that little bit more information, and Alex could use everything that he normally does, but that helped a lot. So then the comp started, did our little parade at the start of the Worlds, and every team did that, and it dragged on, and as they always do, and we were into it. And this is John Buchanan. He had his own little routine, and he'd come past our glider before we took off, and just that last little bit of advice, and yeah, which he was very good at. He was like a head coach, but yeah, some of the days that really did help, just to put you in that bit of focus that you need. Yeah, I think that was very good. Gaggles at world competitions are crazy, and this doesn't even do it justice. But in the class we had, I think, around 30 gliders, and they generally collect in 2 gaggles pre-start. Sometimes they converge into one, and it's always a game of who wants to leave first when you're at the top, and you just end up sitting in the 0 climb rate just to the top, waiting for someone else to leave. And with 30 gliders coming up to the same level, that it's a lot of work. And I'd flown 2 worlds and got a good first-hand experience on all of that, so I was quite comfortable. But when you fly at the club all the time with, at our club, 1 glider in a thermal, it's an incredible feeling with heaps of you in there, and it can get a bit nasty sometimes too. Like this guy. He's certainly somewhere where he shouldn't be. Yeah. Has anybody counted how many there are?
There's nobody near the one in the middle. So.
Yeah, he's definitely got the best climb rate too. But how's he gonna? Where does he go? And all these guys are thinking, what is he doing?
So you're not spinning through the middle.
It's a little bit lower than the bulk of them.
Yeah, it could be you don't have the depth, but yeah.
Nice photo.
And this is Matthew finishing, I think this photo's probably from the chopper, but yeah, so
The team chopper.
yeah, the team chopper.
Yeah.
We had a team helicopter, home ground, yeah. So Matthew in standard class, and he won it, which was just fantastic. I think his whole learning journey to that point too is more impressive than mine. But yeah, it was great to have him on the podium, and he's developed quite a bit further than some of us as pilots, especially us other juniors. And every now and then he's got a bit of extra thought happening. He's always got his finger on the pulse, and yeah, he was very good to have as a teammate, and it showed how he flew. So that's the last day of the closing ceremony, and that's the collective team. Yeah, I think Brian and Peter were giving us statistics every morning from what we did previous day, of what we did wrong, where we did better, and we had a whole routine that worked very well, where we'd have a bit of a team gathering, bit of a briefing, go to a main briefing, come back as a team, and have a bit more of a briefing, work out what we were going to do for the day, how we were going to do it, separate off into our own pilot crew teams, get the glider ready, and all that sort of thing. But Mandy was fantastic as a team captain to give us a real good structure. But yeah, I think that's mostly everything. Yeah.
So when's your next World Championship?
Who knows? I don't know.
One top class this year.
Don't know. I would love to, yeah. So it's something else to work on, yeah. But no, there's nothing really on my calendar as yet. And, yeah.
I think one thing that's really hard to convey is how much pressure the guys are under when they're flying the comps. It really is a pressure cooker. It really is a high pressure situation. And it was really good that you had all that preparation all that time as a team together.
Yep.
To sort of get out the wrinkles and to put the routine together. Because that gives you comfort. And then when things go wrong, or whatever, it makes it a lot easier.
That was really shown at Kingaroy, I think. Having the squad week there.
Yeah.
We were, what was it? Storming, norming, performing, or something.
Yeah.
How a team works together. It works for corporate through any situation as a team. Yeah, and with Lisa Trotter talk to us about that sort of gliding physiology and extra things like that, which was
But there was the day
fantastic
that
resource.
the team were prepared to leave out at Bunnings one day because although you prepared the glider and you prepared the glider and you prepared the glider and prepared the glider. There's one day you're going up to tea and you did the Bunnings to get one last thing that you needed to prepare the glider.
But
Because the car was so ready to drive away or leave you.
Bunnings is just a big toy shop, though, so you can't blame me really.
You're getting a bit obsessed. But that's kind of part of it, that's your process, that you've got to have the glider ready, you've got to know that the glider is perfect. I mean, it's just how it is, isn't it? It's just part of it.
And in gliding there are a lot of engineers, aren't there? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have a lot of issues.
Yeah, I'm just another one.
That's good.
So what did it feel like strapped in on you? Not necessarily Narromine, I guess your first World Championship, day one of the competition. You lined up on the grid, you're strapped in.
What the hell am I doing here? Well, yeah, my first Worlds, Poland, the juniors. I think I'd only flown the glider for 3 days before that, just getting used to how it felt full of water in Europe in shitty conditions.
Borrowed glider, not used to it, bad weather.
Yeah, it was,
But to cover that, I mean, Eric and Elsa went across to that school. I was showing sports clinic back then, and we sent them across for preparation for this. You had very little time. I mean, it was March or something for a competition in July.
Yep.
Normally we have 12 months to prepare, but what happened is there was a late withdrawal,
Yep.
a couple of pilots, and so the sports committee we decided to send Eric and Elsa in preparation for the World Cup. So to get there at all and to do what you did was just amazing.
And
that you got stuff organised.
yeah, and this is also previous to even being selected.
Yeah.
Or even knowing we were going to be selected. So
Because I think when I phoned
Yeah.
up and said, do you want to go to Poland, he said, you sure you got the right brother? We had that conversation.
yeah, well that's right. At that stage, Narromine had been announced in 2012, and Colin was second at Lake Keepit that year. So he was still eligible for the Poland competition too. But I think you must have asked him.
I think
some
you sent him
more.
to Finland or something. I can't
Yeah.
remember. I remember you saying, sure you got the right brother.
But then I think he sort of saw that there was no real path for him. He wouldn't be eligible to fly in Narromine, so it was just, and he'd never flown in the Worlds or flown in Europe, so it's just too much for no reward at the end, I suppose. So yeah.
But I think you can see from that there's just a huge amount of preparation. Week after week, oh, there's another week. Oh, there's another week. It just keeps coming up. I've forgotten quite how much you've done actually.
For that warm-up time I had before the Worlds, from West Wyalong to the end of the Worlds, I think I did 120 hours in less than 2 months.
You get sick of flying.
That was awesome.
And when you think that the average member does 30 hours a year.
Oh, just remembered I've left out a few things. Matthew never won a day. James was the youngest pilot to ever win a day. Dylan just won a day. And this guy is only, James Newton, he's only coming on 18 maybe. He's in year 12 and he's got a lot ahead of him. He came 5th. On the last day we had a bit of a push to try and get him onto the podium. Didn't quite get there, but
was he 20 points off third or something?
it wasn't far at all.
Yeah, he was sitting third for quite a long time. Yeah.
And on that day, Joe and I went into that sacrificing team flying. So we were there just to support James, and he started a few minutes behind us. We gave him as much information as we could to pull him up, and then he ended up beating us around. So yeah, and missed out on podium by not much at all. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with team flying that
Because he
help
only flew
everyone.
on juniors, didn't he? You didn't have the 46, but didn't you get in because of the rule that you can get in as your first juniors? Like you did only fly on juniors. Junior nationals, very glad. Not sure.
No, I think he'd flown 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
You flew at Waker again.
Yeah, yes, he
Right.
flew Waker as well.
Just as a matter of interest, I used to fly his dad at coaching me. His dad's put me out of cut paddocks. The Waker coaching me a long time ago. His dad's a pilot.
Yeah, I think we're all out of gliding families. Joe is out of a huge gliding family.
Well, he used to manage Narromine. I think he was the manager at Narromine.
Yep.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, we had incredible support from a lot of seniors, and Mandy's another one of them. But it's amazing how much support we had as a team at our home ground, and yeah.
And when a team works well, it's amazing. You're part of a team that's working. It's just there's nothing like it. It's an amazing feeling when everybody's working hard in the same direction for the same goal. And one thing that I think is really interesting about your talk is you didn't actually talk about the results. Because actually the results weren't actually that important. It was the experience. It was the whole thing, wasn't it?
That's what I was, I didn't want to just a play-by-play of the Worlds. I think you see that from the soaring spot. So
But we never really had an emphasis on the results. You know, we didn't say, oh, you came first or you came third. It was always, okay, how can we work better together?
Mm.
And I think that's really important for a team to work. If you start focusing on the results, it doesn't work. So.
Especially since at the world level, it's such a huge step. Your daily score, you could be right down the bottom, but have flown just a little tiny bit worse than the guy who won. Everyone just uses the day to its maximum. When the weather was picking up in Finland, on one of the last days, I came 26th or something, and I was, you win with 1,000 points. I think I had 900, just under 900 points. So 100 points out of 1,000 to be almost at the bottom. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
Eric?
Good on you.
You can join me in thanking Eric for a good